Compass site because, again, it's a really important tool, and it hopefully shows you in general in political science where people, ideas, political parties, movements tend to be. But then also it kind of gives you a feel for how within the United States there's a fairly narrow range in our debate. Believe it or not, everybody's talking about polarizations and right wingers and left wingers and extremism. But the reality is, within the United States, the discussion is far narrower than it is in most other places, particularly democracies. So I want to make sure we get this. And again, this is the normal quadrant. The blue is the area where most of us are. Some of us may have been in the green. I think I may have had one student in the kind of authoritarian left and one student in the libertarian right. But generally speaking, we're in the blue and then some in the green. So let's go and sort of get a feel for what that means in practice. If you look, for example, at this is from the most recent Canadian election, you see that there's a fairly wide range, but still within that blue-green with a little bit of libertarian thrown in. The ruling party was the Conservative Party. That's the one in the upper right-hand corner. The Liberal Party, which took power, Justin Trudeau, the son of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, and Margaret Trudeau, they're still in that blue quadrant, but you see they're closer to the middle, which means they believe that, yeah, sometimes government should be involved in regulating the economy, but they're still kind of a free market society. The Green Party is sort of right on the edge, right in the middle, a little more collectivist on economic regulation in terms of their party positions, or what are often called party platforms. But then you have the Bloc Québécois, which is a social democratic party, French Canadians from Quebec, of course, and the New Democratic Party, which is essentially a centrist party as well. You notice that Bloc Québécois is a little more socially progressive. That's what puts it in the green category, but it's really a centrist party that government should be used, but on a limited basis. And NDP is very similar. So you kind of get a feel that there's some variation in Canada, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Now, let's look here at, this is the British elections from earlier this year. And in the upper right-hand corner, you see the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party actually was the winning party in the British elections. And the Labour Party is actually, in some ways, more of a government party. Now, the reason that's the case is the Labour Party took very clear positions about marriage equality and other sort of government policies that regulate social behavior. But now, if you kind of look at the rest of these political parties, the Liberal Democratic Party is the sort of third largest party in Great Britain, the Scottish National Party, that's why there are arrows there. They're the fourth largest. I want to talk about Scottish National, Scottish Socialist, Plaid Cymru, and Respect and Sinn Féin. You notice that they're in this upper left-hand quadrant, the authoritarian sort of left, it's called. And what makes them left is that they are very progressive on social policy, particularly as it relates to regulating the economy, government sort of taking responsibilities for certain types of sectors like transportation. In Great Britain, for decades, the coal mines were owned by the government. And so, there's a long tradition in Great Britain that government can own the means of production, not simply regulate it. Whereas the people in the blue areas think, government should sort of stay out of the free market, but regulate it. These parties actually believe the government has a stronger role, but they also have a stronger role, and the reason they're on the left there is because that they believe that government also has certain progressive obligations, that government should embrace equality for all. It should be progressive on education, should provide universal education. That's all government intervention into the state from the left. You see in the green, the Social Democratic Labour Party and the Green Party in Great Britain, which is a far more progressive and government interventionist party than the Green Party in Canada. And then you see in the purple area the Liberal Democrats, liberal class liberal John Locke, Democrat, meaning believer in democratic rule, but these are people who believe government should essentially stay out of people's lives, and they're much more libertarian than either of our two political parties. So now that we've got that down, oops, I forgot about animation. I thought I erased it. Okay, we have the Irish elections from 2011. You see again a wider array. You have the Fine Gael, the Fianna Fáil, Labour Party, the Green Party, Socialist Party, and Sinn Féin. They're spread about the ideological spectrum, with again the two largest, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, being sort of in that kind of sort of blue area of the authoritarian right, as it's called, a political compass. But this again is, they do believe government should regulate the economy, and they do believe that government should sort of regulate social behavior, but they're not that extreme, which puts them more toward the center. Interestingly, in Ireland, the Labour Party took a more libertarian position. Sinn Féin and Socialist and Green, they're far more on the left when it comes to government regulating the economy. Obama went from kind of really pretty far out in the center right in 2012, even though in 2008, he was he was further to the left than you see him in 2012. That marks a real difference in position. That is a function of a couple of things, but most importantly, sort of his position in 2008, and then when he became president, having to make certain decisions that actually made him a little more of a free marketeer, in part because the economy began to improve, but in part because people, when they govern, are a little more conservative than when they run. Or on the right, if people run as very conservative people, they tend to govern a little more liberally toward the center.